Today we're going to be reviewing order of operations, and in order to review order of operations, I also suggest that you go to my order of operations math song because that's going to help you to remember the specific order of how to do order of operations. In the beginning of class, what we focused on was trying to figure out what the correct answer to this particular problem was. We had a variety of different answers from students, and so we finally just took it step by step according to order of operations in an effort to see what the answer should be. So we started by checking to see if there were any parentheses. Since there were no parentheses in this, we moved on to exponents. Because there were no exponents, we moved on to multiplication and division in order that they come in from left to right. So from left to right, I notice I have a division problem and multiplication. So I'm going to bring down the rest of the problem along with those answers. So I have 30 minus 12 divided by 2 gives me 6, plus 4 times 3 gives me 12, minus, then I have 5. Since I'm done with all of my multiplication and division, now I do my addition and subtraction. So from left to right, 30 minus 6 is going to give me 24. I'm going to bring down the rest. 24 plus 12 gives me 36. 36 minus 5 gives me 31. The correct answer to this problem is 31. What students often do is they just solve the problem from left to right. So they start with 30 minus 12, then they divide that by 2, then they add 4, then multiply by 3, then subtract 5. And because of the way that order of operations goes, that will give us a different answer. So I wanted to make sure students were following the PEMDAS order of operations. So sometimes people say PEMDAS, sometimes people use the abbreviation. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. My dear Aunt Sally. The one thing that I don't like about this is it makes it seem like multiplication always comes before division and addition comes before subtraction. So the P stands for parentheses, the E is for our exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. But the problem is multiplication and division come at the same time, and so do addition and subtraction. You just have to go in order from left to right. I prefer this model because this model makes it seem like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. So we have parentheses first, then we have exponents, then we have multiplication and division in order at the same time from left to right, and same goes with addition and subtraction. Again, you can go to the song that I have posted on my YouTube site as well, but it helps us to remember the order of operations. I can share with you the first couple verses or the main parts as I go through the practice problems. I ask that students go through and show each step just so that I can see where they went wrong if they make a mistake in their work. So if I think back to the song that you hopefully had a chance to see online, you're going to see that the first part says the letter P for parentheses. We've got to do them first. Okay, so we've got parentheses that we've got to do first. And then you just bring everything else down just as is. So 6 squared divided by 3 plus 9 gives us 12. Plus, now we've got 2 parentheses. 5 plus 3 is 8. So then after the letter P, it says next comes E, exponents please. Okay, so I've got to do exponents next. We've got 6 squared, which is 36. Bring down the rest. So after next comes E, exponents please, then comes M and D. And we say in the song, we say multiply and divide, go from left to right. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at the problem from left to right, and I'm going to see what multiplication and division I have. I have division here. And I also have multiplication here. When a number is next to another number in parentheses, it means to multiply. So 36 divided by 12 is 3, because 12 fits into 36 3 times, plus 2 times 8 is 16. Now finally, the last part would be our addition and subtraction, which gives us a total of 19 for our answer. Now because I showed my steps, I'd be able to see where somebody went wrong. So that's the reason why I ask students to show over their work. So now we get to the next one. We're going to go through all of the steps again. Remember the letter P for parentheses, we've got to do them first. So we've got 8 plus 4 in this set of parentheses, which gives us 12, divided by, we have 10 minus 6, which gives us 4, plus 5 squared. Next comes E, exponents please. So we're going to do our exponents. Remember, 5 squared does not mean 5 times 2, it means 5 times 5. So I've got 12 divided by 4 plus 5 squared is 25. Multiply and divide, go from left to right. So we've got division, 12 divided by 4, which gives us 3, and 3 plus 25, gives us 28 for our final answer. Now this type of problem, it looks a little bit different, and you may want to put a little side note on here. You want to look at this as two separate problems. So you want to solve the top, you want to solve the bottom, and then you want to simplify your fraction, because we leave it as a fraction. So on the top we only have addition and subtraction, and our rule is to do those from left to right. So 6 plus 3 gives us 8, and 8 minus 5 gives us, or 6 plus 3 gives us 9, minus 5 gives us 4. Okay. So that's our top, and then on our bottom we have 8 divided by 2, which gives us 4, and 4 over 4 is the same as 1. On this one, we want to do our parentheses first. You'll notice that this negative 7 is in parentheses, but there's nothing that we can do with it. So we can just take it out of the parentheses. And now we'll do these other parentheses. 32 minus 6 is going to give us 26. We have no exponents, so then we go to multiplication and division. So I have to multiply 26 times negative 7. And because there's one negative, it's going to end up being 9 plus negative 182. Since it's addition of integers and they're different signs, we have to subtract them. And we get a negative 173 for our final answer. This one you'll notice that we have brackets, and I want you to understand that brackets are the same thing as parentheses, they just look a little bit different. So we still follow the same process. So we do parentheses first. You'll notice that in the first set of parentheses there's nothing we can do, so we can just write this all down. And in these brackets we have 8 plus negative 4, since it's addition of integers, different signs, we subtract. We have no exponents, so then we look for multiplication. We've got multiplication over here. I'm going to, again, bring down the rest. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Remember, with subtraction, we keep it, change it, flip it. Negative 19 plus 3, addition, different signs, gives us negative 16. Bring down the rest. Negative 16 plus negative 8 gives us a negative 24. Okay, on the next one we have parentheses first. Inside of the parentheses you're going to notice we have exponents. So 3 squared gives us, which remember it's 3 times 3, not 3 times 2, which is 9 minus 6. So we have 20 plus negative 4, parentheses 9 minus 6 gives us 3. We've got addition and then we've got multiplication. I'm going to do my multiplication first. This gives me 20 plus negative 12, which gives me a positive 8. Because it's addition of different signs, we end up subtracting and we get a positive 8. On the next one, we want to do our parentheses first, so I'm going to bring down the rest of the problem. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. We still have this little exponent of a 2 up here. So now I want to do my exponents because I've done my parentheses. Negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2. A negative and a negative is a positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. So I have negative 3 plus 2 times, in parentheses, 4. I'll do my multiplication before addition, so I get negative 3 plus 8. Addition, different signs, so we end up subtracting. 8 minus 3 gives us 5. Now, on the next one, I don't want you to get alarmed because you see fractions. We've already taken our test on fractions, and we've already started successfully solving order of operations problems. So I want you to think about what you know about each of those before you get terribly nervous. So you'll notice that we have an addition sign and we have a multiplication sign. With order of operations, we are expected to do multiplication before we do addition. So what we're essentially doing is we're taking these two fractions over here that I'm putting in parentheses and multiplying them first. Well, our rules for multiplying fractions, we say multiplying fractions, no big problem, top times top over bottom times bottom. So if I did that, top times top, 3 times 2 gives me 6. Bottom times bottom, 4 times 3 gives me 12. And I can bring down that plus 1/3 over here. You will notice that 6/12 is not in reduced form. You can either reduce it right now, or you can find a common denominator between 3 and 12, and then reduce at the very end. So here, I'm just going to reduce this because I know that 6 over 12 is the same as 1/2, because 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 12 twice. So my common denominator between 3 and 2 is 6. So I'm going to write this as something over 6 plus something over 6 equals something over 6. To get from 3 to 6, I multiply both the top and the bottom by 2. To get from 2 to 6, I multiply the top and the bottom by 3. And I end up getting 5/6 for my final answer. On this next one, you'll notice that we are squaring a fraction. I want you to stop and think about what squaring a number means, and it means to multiply by itself. So essentially what this means is we're multiplying 3/5 times 3/5, and whatever we get for our answer, we're subtracting 3/10. So when we multiply this fraction, top times top gives us 9, bottom times bottom gives us 25, then we subtract 3/10. But what we don't have is a common denominator. The common denominator between 10 and 25 would be 50. So something over 50 minus something over 50 equals something over 50. To get from 25 to 50, we multiply by 2, and 9 times 2 gives us 18. To get from 10 to 50, we multiply by 5, and 3 times 5 gives us 15. 18/50 minus 15/50 gives us 3/50, and that would be our final answer. The next step is asking us to substitute the given value for the variable and evaluate the expression. So you'll notice we have 4 different variables listed, but we're only using 2 of them. So I'm just going to cross off the m and the p right now because we don't need them. So now instead of writing 3x minus y, I'm going to write 3 parentheses, the x is 4, which tells me right here, minus our y is 3. So instead of y, I'm going to plug in a 3. And now I've created an expression that we are able to solve. We do multiplication before subtraction. So 3 times 4 gives us 12, minus 3 gives me 9 for my final answer. Over here, you'll notice that we're going to need the p, the x, and the y. We do not need the m, so I'm going to cross it off, and now I'm just going to plug in what we have. So it's 6 times p. Well, p is 2/3, so I'm going to leave it like this, plus, in parentheses, we have 2 times y, which is 3, plus 5 times x, which is 4. And now we're going to do parentheses first. So 2 times 3 gives us 6, plus 5 times 4 gives us 20. We still aren't done with that parenthesis yet, so I've got to finish that off. That gives us 26. And we still have to do 6 times 2/3. Because 6 isn't a fraction, we need to put 6 over 1, and then we'll do top times top and bottom times bottom. 6 times 2 gives us 12. 1 times 3 gives us 3. 12 over 3 is the same as 4. And then we still have to add in that 26. 4 plus 26 gives us 30 for our final answer. Over here, we are going to need everything except p, so I'm going to cross off p. When all of the variables are next to each other like that, it means we're multiplying. So we're going to do -1 times x, which is 4, times 3, plus we're going to have 2 times the quantity of 4 plus y, which is 3. So we're going to do our parentheses first. 4 plus 3 gives us 7. We don't have any exponents, so we have to do multiplication and division from left to right. -1 times 4 would be -4. We have to multiply that by 3, which gives us -12, plus 2 times 7 is 14, and -12 plus 14 gives us 2. Now over here we have to figure out how to set up the problem. So this says the sum of 5 and 7. Sum is the answer when we're adding. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 5 and 7. Then you'll notice sectioned off, that's divided by 6. I chose to use the fraction bar as division, but you could have also written it like this, 5 plus 7 in parentheses, because they want us to do that first, then divided by 6. No matter how we do it, we end up getting 12 divided by 6, which is 2. The next one says the product of, so I'm going to take and I'm going to multiply two things together. It says the first thing that we're going to have is the sum of 4 and 7, so I'm going to put that over here. And then the second thing we're going to have is the difference of 20 and 18, which is with subtraction. And once we get those two answers, we're going to multiply them together. So 4 plus 7 gives us 11, and 20 minus 18 gives us 2. We multiply those two answers together, and we get 22. The very last one, it says the square. So we're taking something and we're squaring it. The difference of 11 and 2. So the difference would be with subtraction. 11 minus 2 gives us 9, and 9 squared means 9 times 9, which gives us 81. If you have any questions, please email me. It's sullivana@milton.k12.wi.us.